Hello and a warm welcome to Weekend Warm-Up. Match week 23 is upon us with the small matter of Liverpool against Manchester United for us to get our chops around. Over at the touch table, let's say hello to the pair that go together like Rush and Dalglish, Cole and York, Heskey and Owen, Rooney and Ronaldo. It's Hutchison and Rafinha. Don and Leroy to friends. As well as those pair, we've got features lined up with Mo Salah, Harry Maguire, David Moyes, Danny Ings, Son Heung-min, and Al Craig returns in conversation with Nathaniel Chalobah. Now, Seema's been called away on royal duty, so our queen for the day to run us through all of the weekend's fixtures, it's Kelly Summers.
I feel like you should be doing a royal curtsy to me there or something today. Yes, thank you. It's great to be back. Your Premier League weekend looks just like this. Watford will be looking to keep their climb to safety going in the early fixture against Tottenham. 6 kickoffs then follow with Arsenal versus Sheffield United, Brighton hosting Villa, Manchester City against Crystal Palace. And there was a huge game at Carrow Road between the bottom two, Norwich and Bournemouth, while Southampton welcome Wolves, and David Moyes' West Ham host Everton. Now, the late game sees Newcastle against Chelsea before Sunday starts with Burnley against Leicester and ends with the 174th league meeting between England's most successful two football clubs, Liverpool versus Manchester United at Anfield.
To the table then, and by virtue of Leicester's defeat at the hands of Southampton last weekend, now 14 points clear of Manchester City in second and a whopping 27 points clear of Manchester United in fifth. Sheffield United keep on winning and sixth ahead of Wolves, Spurs, Crystal Palace and Arsenal.
Pretty teething, Joe. At the bottom then, and Norwich remain rooted to the foot of the table, but this week have been boosted by 2 new signings, Lucas Rapp and Odred Duda, both coming in from the Bundesliga. Bournemouth's freefall, though, continues now. It's just 4 points collected from 33 available. They sit 19th, just 1 point behind Villa, who themselves are just 3 points away from Brighton in 14th. It is still anyone's guess, though, Jay, who is going down this season.
It is. I'll tell you what, I'm still trying to work out how to say sixth.
Can't really talk. You struggled a few times, haven't you?
No. So only one place to start the show, and that is, of course, at Anfield. We look ahead to one of the fiercest rivalries. When there's a game between 2 massive teams, you need 2 massive guys to talk about it. Take it away, Don and Leroy.
Thanks, Jake. Was he talking about our size or character?
No, character.
Character. Cheers, JJ. Cheers, JJ. I'll tell you what, there are 2 massive sides as well, Don. Look, what about your Liverpool team? How are they going to approach this?
Nothing to see here. Nothing to see, Lee. Let's move on. They've not lost at home in like a million games. What are you going to do with this lot?
I've been racking my brain, honestly. I think in the last game at Old Trafford, they played with the 5.
Yeah.
I don't think they've got the personnel. Ashley Young is most probably on the move. Jones, we know that he struggled with form. So I think, look, play with a back 4, play to your strengths. Obviously, De Gea in goal. I think in midfield, I think Fred and Pereira, either side of Matic. And I just think they played the wide areas. Even with the 5, it could be Marshall. If Rashford is fit, then Rashford will play on the left, and I think James will play on the right. And I think this could be a key position. Matt, who's in good form.
False 9.
False 9 in there, just sitting on maybe Henderson when they haven't got the ball, and trying to join in and link play to the front. But you know who's got a massive job? Matic. You know, he's experienced. He's got to sit in front and really just cover from the front and just give a screen to that back 4 if they don't play with that 5.
I'm glad you've said that. Now, I want you to put your manager's hat on for 5 minutes, right? Because I've played in this Matic role for years and years and years. 15 years I played that role. Yeah. And I've had about 100 million arguments with managers and players.
You've argued with managers?
Yes. And players at half-time. Yeah. Emotional.
Yeah,
right?
I can imagine that.
Quite hard ones as well. And it's always been a position that really baffled me in terms of what do I do with someone like Roberto Firmino. Right. And I'm going back to people like Eric Cantona. Yeah. And I'm going back to people like Dennis Bergkamp. Yeah. When I was meant to be marking Jordan Henderson, I was meant to be marking Gini Van Alden or Oxlade-Chamberlain, but normally you go man for man and you try and look after your opposite number. And for years and years and years, I've seen Dennis Bergkamp get in these positions and Eric Cantona and rip teams to shreds. And I was always of the opinion, that is not my job. No. My job are these boys, people like Roy Keane, Paul Scholes, Patrick Vieira, Emmanuel Petit. Those sort of guys when you're playing your opposite number. Now, can you tell me who's supposed to be marking Roberto Firmino? If you're a Man United player, if you're Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, whose job is that?
Well, I think it's really important to take it. Look, it's in the final third. It's in Liverpool's attacking third, which is massively important. You know, you do that screen, but up to a point. Now, as a midfield player, Don, when they get into that area, I want you to go and apply pressure to the ball. So the quality of the ball going into the front is not as good. So you get the players' heads down.
That's the area that I tend to worry about.
That's right.
When Firmino comes into there, in between the lines.
Exactly. Now, it's down for one of these centre-halves to get tight. Because there is pressure on the ball, then they can get tight.
That's what I used to say, Leroy.
Well, I think you were right, Don. I think you were right.
But then managers would then lean towards, if Lindelof or Maguire, whichever side it might be on, to go tight to Firmino. The problem then is, if Sadio Mane gets himself in there, and Mo Salah gets himself in there, and they make those sort of runs, managers then like the two centre-halves to be in that position, and then I was asked to do that job.
Well, once that centre-half's gone tight, Don, then it's just got to be narrow. You've got to narrow off, and you've got to play with a narrow back four. Really, the 18-yard box is your guide. So that's got to be really narrow. So now the space. That's the dangerous space.
That's where you don't want Mane and Salah.
And I know people will be screaming, but what about Robertson? What about Trent Alexander in this area? That's the lesser of the two evils. And you've got to defend from there. But get tight on Firmino. You're 4 against 3 there. If you go 5, I've always said, you go 5 against 3, you must be lacking all over the pitch. But if you're going to try and get a result against Liverpool, you've got to defend well.
Especially away from home.
Especially away from home. Defend well 4 against 3. So when you do get possession, you've got bodies to pass to and keep the ball and to move forward and then utilise the pace of Martial, Jones or Rashford if it's fit.
I think I'd like you as a manager.
Do you think you did?
I think I'd play well for you.
I think I'd argue with you, to be honest. But I tell you what, let's have a look at Robbie Firmino. And because, look, Don, he's been incredible for Liverpool, but he's been incredible for Liverpool in recent weeks as well. And we just see him here. First to press, Don. He does everything his centre forwards should do in this clip. Presses the ball comes forward, holds it up.
Ball retention.
Gets on his bike.
It's so good. It's so basic. It's so simple, but not many players do it. The most important thing that in that was he's willing to put the first press on. Then, as you said, the ball came up to him. He wasn't sloppy. He kept hold of it. Then he got on his bike and got in behind. And this is where I'm on about that area there. That's a classic example of what I was talking about, Lee. When that type of player, the Bergkamp, the Cantona, the Firmino, get in that sort of area there, and they just get a couple of yards between midfielders and centre backs. It's a nightmare problem.
Well, look, Don, that would be you there. Okay,
scratch my head.
And you can't get to that. You can't get there. Scratch your. You can't get there. You can't get there really effective. So look, if he's in that area there, it's for Alderweireld to go tight. Now in this clip, Firmino goes right into the midfield. As soon as he progresses into that area, then you get the shout. Then you get the shout, and then Alderweireld jumps back into his slot. And that should be the way it plays. You come out and you go back in. On this occasion, Firmino goes all the way into the midfield, so
now I will take charge. Now is my responsibility.
It happens to be Firmino, though, who turns and plays forward. And look at the run. As soon as he turns, look at the pace that they go forward with. Mane almost gets on the end of that ball.
I mean, they do fly when this guy's in the side, don't they? You know, we always have the conversation who's the best player, and we talk about Salah, and we talk about Mane, and we can talk the fullbacks and Van Dijk, Alisson in goal. He's the man that makes it tick, doesn't he? And
this is the key. I know this doesn't come off, but we talked about why he comes off. We said he comes off into that area there, and then we get Mane and Salah threatening in behind. It doesn't come off on this occasion because the Tottenham back four do still keep in their areas and they clear it on this occasion. But a lot of the time it does come off because the quality of the pass is that much better. But what I love about him, Don, I'm just going to pause it there because we say good players stand still. They stand still.
Stand still. I mean, you don't have to be on the move all the time. He's been standing there for an age. I mean, what I will say, when you see these Liverpool players, they've always got options, haven't they? You know, they've always got options with 3 or 4 passes. That's a hard one that he's going to ping straight into there, which comes off, by the way.
It does come off.
But in all these clips, takes it on the back foot. Always been taught when you play for Liverpool, Leroy, 2 touches enough. Took it on the back foot, straight away, bang it into Mo Salah's feet.
Now look where he is, Don. He's in the box, and he's created a 3 against 2.
And he does this so much, Gini Van Alden, doesn't he? Where he breaks from midfield to get the extra number in the box.
Exactly.
Your couple of centre-halves, you think you've got your 2 front men marked, and all of a sudden the midfield runner has run off his marker, That's a problem.
It is a problem. And the reason why he can go, Don, because he knows that as soon as it's going into Firmino, he can get on his bike because he can trust him. He's going to keep the ball. He knows that he's going to play forward. On this occasion, he gives the ball away the first time. He plays forward again. And this is what I love about this one. I'm just going to slow it down, Don, because I just want to look at his touch. Look at that touch.
Dead.
And he gets a shot off. And you know, he's not only a number 10 who plays the ball, admires his ball, he always ends up in the box, causing the opposition a problem. And you know what? He doesn't get as many goals as maybe people think. He doesn't get as many assists as people think. But because he's in the box, he's taking the attention of centre-half. That's why you find Mane and Salah in one-on-one situations in that 18-yard box on numerous occasions. Again here, this is off the ball, Don, and, you know, as a manager, talking about a manager, you always hear managers talking about the shape of the team. Now, he doesn't touch the ball on this occasion. I want you to have a look at this guy, Oxlade-Chamberlain, who's just now, he's the right-sided midfield player, and he's out of shape. Now, as Liverpool get the ball back, Firmino's the one who balances the side out. And all of a sudden, they've got good possession, and now Firmino's come onto this side. I'm just going to pause it there, and the shape of the team, again, is perfect because he's recognised that.
How many options would you like? How many options, Lee?
About a million they've got, haven't they?
It's incredible.
It's incredible.
It's unreal. Every time Van Dijk gets hold of the ball, or Jordan Henderson, he's just backing off.
Yeah.
They've always got so many options.
Exactly. This time he's in the wide left position. And against Tottenham, the front three really did move around. They didn't play in their slots, and it was really difficult to... I mean, on any day, they're really difficult to pick up. But today, on this occasion against Tottenham, they were terrific in the way that they rotated their positions. And he always seems to end up in around the box. On this occasion, the left-hand side of the box, and that has to be a chip pass to Mane to get it, and Mane should score. And this, talking about scoring, he's chipped in with goals. And it's funny, when he starts scoring, that's when people start to notice him.
Yeah.
But he does more than that. There's more to his game than that.
I mean, it's a great little run. I mean, it's schoolboy defender from Harry Winks. Then there's only one winner on the edge of the box between Jordan Henderson and Dele Alli.
Yeah.
And then I love the touch on the back foot. That's against young Tanganga, but that could have been done against any world-class centre-half, the way he allows the ball to come across onto his weaker left foot.
It certainly could. Right, Man United done. Yeah, look, I've tried to come up with a way that I feel that they could be in the game. And it's funny, look, every time they've played Liverpool, they've given them a game. Look, they are
man
definitely...
in form, by the way.
Yeah, he's a man in form. But the guy who they're hoping to get fit, I think they're working on him 24/7, is Marcus Rashford.
Yeah.
And if he plays, I think James will play on that right-hand side and Rashford will play on this side. Because Liverpool do, Trent Alexander, remember when I think he made his debut against Man United, had a terrible time against Rashford, and Rashford's in really good form at the moment. And he's so much better playing off this left-hand side, Don. And why do you think that is? Because as I said, we always thought, look, he should be centre-forward, but when he starts on this left-hand position, just pick him up there in the pitch, and he finishes in that centre-forward position, he's so much more comfortable than when he starts in a centre-forward position.
He'll, when he gets older, Lee, with more experience, he'll end up being a 9. I'm pretty convinced of that, but it's a position that he needs to learn, and I think he's a player at the moment where once everything's in front of him, it's easy for him because then he can try his tricks. You know, this was a lovely little bit of skill that got him behind. This was actually a difficult game to try and read because it was against the Norwich side that actually played quite good football but was so weak defensively.
Yeah.
Brandon Williams had a brilliant game at left-back.
Yeah.
You know, Rashford was turning on, Matic in the middle of the park, Juan Mata was outstanding. But it was hard to get a real read on how they performed. But talking on Rashford, when he comes onto the play and he gets himself in positions like this, you know, he's hard to mark. You know, he drifts all around the pitch. You can see he's always side on. He wants to be a forward runner. Yeah. He's not particularly happy when he's coming deep, when the ball's at his feet. That's a brilliant ball.
It's a great ball. And it's back in there. And we'll just finish it there. Brilliant. So look, Dom, it's going to be a great game. How do you think it's going to go?
I can't see anything but a Liverpool win. I'm not sure how you can try and come up with a plan if you're Ollie, looking at this squad of players that's going to get a result against a rampant Liverpool side.
You know what? I don't think you're far wrong. Run the music. Liverpool, 38 games, 33 wins and only 5 draws. They've got 61 points from 21 games this season, which is absolutely ridiculous. For Man United, they're unbeaten against the top 4 this season. They've beaten Man City, they've beaten Chelsea, and they've beaten Leicester. Liverpool they've drawn against. It will be a classic.
It will be a classic.
Wow!
It's going to be 0-0, isn't it?
Wow!
Anyway, should we move on?
Wow, Leroy.
I think we need to move on. So we have heard from the two bosses in the studio. No, Jay, as we now know, that is not us. It is, of course, Don and Leroy. Let's now hear from the two bosses who will be in the dugout on Sunday, Jurgen Klopp and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
You have to treat it like you treat all very, very important games. For us, the next is always the most important, so we don't make a difference. We all know about the importance it makes to our supporters, but Liverpool is obviously the natural enemy of some clubs. We have more natural enemies than other clubs. I said long ago, we have to write our own history, and that means we have to play the games our way, and that's what we try. So very, very important game, most important at the weekend for sure for us, and so that's the way we want to approach it.
We need a very, very good performance to go there and win. But we've proven that we beat City last month. We've had the PSG game. We need to get to the level of those performances, definitely, when you go away against the team that's top of the league. And the last two performances we've had against Liverpool as well, to be fair. We've played them at Old Trafford twice, we've drawn twice and been closest to winning both those games. So we've got some games to look back at, and that will give us some belief.
It's a very, very important football game. Very important, like games against pretty much all opponents. That's how it is. I think we have to learn dealing with with games like this in the right manner. So we did not too bad in the past, but we still can improve.
I've had both wins and defeats there, I think, at Anfield as a player. So, of course, you've got to look forward to these games. It's a great challenge for our players. Away at Anfield is another matter. You can make sure you enjoy it, but it can also be an intimidating place. But then we just got to do all the preparations as well as we can. Prepare some of these young players probably play at Anfield for the first time, and I'm sure they'll be fine.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Jurgen Klopp there ahead of the game that happens at Anfield on Sunday. Massive game between two teams, Leroy, that are bitter rivals, but Liverpool's start to the season, I mean, after gaining 97 points in the last campaign, did you think it was possible for them to achieve anything like these heights?
No.
By the way, if this is 0-0, I'm going to kill you.
I'm sure about it, yeah, I know. I'll kill myself. I'll kill myself. Anyway, no, I didn't. In all honesty, I thought the reason why they got to 97 points was because of Man City. We're pushing them. Yeah. You know, they're going head-to-head every single week. Every single week was, I think Man City were playing first a lot towards the end of last season, and Liverpool were reacting brilliantly. I thought, well, that's why they pushed each other. But they pushed themselves this season. Start this season, they didn't play great, as well as we would have expected, but they kept on getting results. You know, you had Matic in there, you had Lovren in there, and you think, and then obviously Adrian came in for Alisson early on in the season, you think, and they reacted brilliantly. They kind of got over the line in a few games as well. But then they've got better. Gomez has improved the side like we thought he would earlier in his career, but he's taken a little bit of a knockback to come forward again. Henderson's been brilliant wherever he's played. Fabinho was excellent at the start of the season before he got injured. In the front three, Mane, does he ever get tired, that guy? He doesn't seem to get tired, just seems to get better and better.
The psychology from Jurgen Klopp in pre-season must have been unreal, because I thought this season they'd have been scarred from last year. I thought there's no way they can reach the same levels or better the levels than last season. I can't think of one Liverpool player, Leroy, at the minute that's not playing absolutely out of his skin. Yeah. They're all playing high standard football.
But don't you think, though, and that's got to do with winning the Champions League? Yeah. It's taking that confidence to another level. Since you win something, you get that belief inside, that confidence, that arrogance,
Club World Cup, obviously
Club World Cup. Start winning things, it becomes a habit, and they don't feel like they feel unbeatable at the moment.
What have they changed, or have they not changed anything? Because you talked about the psychology there from Jurgen Klopp. Has he not needed to change much? Has it all been a mental thing?
I think it's been more mental. I'm not seeing anything that I'm seeing this season different to last season, because City were absolutely flying, but Liverpool was sensational. And it's just been a fact of, yes, City have dropped off a level. They're leaking goals for fun. They're not winning too many games, or the standards that they've set. But Liverpool have just been relentless. I think, like Leroy said, you come back for pre-season, you've got a Champions League under your belt. So therefore, you've got that swagger. You are European champions. You go into the season, you start well. You start unbeaten, you go on a run. You go 4 or 5 games, then you get to 10 games, and all of a sudden it's a habit, like Leroy said. Then you get to a busy Christmas period, you go into the Club World Cup. You go and win that as well, so that gives you a little bit more ego when you come back to the Premier League. The very next game after that was Leicester. Demolished them 4, that could have been 6 or 7.
That's become a habit, hasn't it, winning?
Yeah, but everyone thought, Kelly, when they come up against Leicester, that'll be the test. Because Leicester are a very good side, chasing Liverpool down.
Dom, you're absolutely right, but what you asked the question, what's got better? Individually, they've got better. Trent is better than he was last season. It's a tough thing to do. I think Mane's better than he was last season. As individuals, they've all got better. And a club like that, Don, you know, it's about... People talk about the coach, what a great coach. It's about individuals and their mentality. They've gone away, worked really hard, all come back fitter than they've ever been before, which is almost impossible. And they've individually improved their game. So collectively, they've gone up a level, and that's why.
Now, if there's one team in the Premier League that would like to put a dent in Liverpool's charge towards their first title for 30 years, it's Manchester United. The only team that have come close to getting a victory, well, I suppose Aston Villa did as well, but Manchester United, the only team that took points off them so far this season. And as we can see here, they have the most away wins at Anfield in Premier League history. So Jurgen Klopp can't take this game easy.
No, he can't take, and the recent history suggests he can't take this game easy. You know, even when we thought they were there for taking at Old Trafford, you know, last season, and Man United got a draw earlier on in the season, United get their noses in front, and Liverpool, you know, Lallana gets the late equaliser. So United do lift their game, and by the way, for United, it's great. They're massive underdogs. And when they've been massive underdogs, as I mentioned, they have beaten Man City, they have beaten Leicester, they have beaten Chelsea, they've not lost to Liverpool. When they've been in that situation, when they do not have to control the ball, they're a much better side. Yeah, it has to be said, Rashford is the key in all of this, and whether he turns up or not will be interesting. But if he doesn't turn up, I think there'll be even more. Look, I remember Rashford playing his first game and scoring a couple of goals for Arsenal. They've got players like this in this Man United side who can make a name for themselves. Greenwood's going to be a very good player. We know that Martial, when he wants to, can be a very good player. We know that James can cause problems with his blistering pace. They've got the tools to cause Liverpool problems.
Greenwood's already scored 10 goals this season as well. So the way we talk about Rashford, there is an obvious reliance there to a point. But do you think they've got the tools, Don, to be all right without him, or is this going to be a big part of whether they can win on Sunday?
No, he's a massive part, because if they're going to play counter-attacking football, I can imagine Liverpool dominating the ball. Rashford's a huge part of that. Don't forget Juan Mata, if he starts, you know, he's got history in this game as well. I think he scored a brilliant overhead kick a few years ago, so he's another player that's in form. But I think if you're going to play counter-attacking football, it's tailor-made for Martial and Rashford, the way they can spring on the break and the way they're just quicker as a pair than most front twos in the country. It's going to be totally different if Martial and Rashford, or just Rashford's not fit, then Martial will either have to play as the 9 or he can play at the right-hand side. It's still got Dan James, he's really quick. And then you might be asking Greenwood, but I would imagine if Marcus Rashford's not fit, I think he'll lean towards playing Mata. Yeah. And I think he'll go for experience. I think they'll then change their whole game plan and say, right, let's just sit in, let's see if we can dominate the ball a little bit more. Because if they haven't got Rashford or Martial, I think this United side could be in a world of trouble.
Does Jurgen Klopp just go for the juggler at Libra on this one?
Well, they do, every week. And you know what?
He hasn't done in this fixture, though. This is the fixture where I thought Jurgen, especially at Old Trafford, has gone in there quite cautious because of the history of the game, because it is the biggest game, you know, in the Premier League, if not in Europe. It's one of the huge games. It's just the glamour tie. And I think for Jurgen, he's trying to protect that potential loss at Old Trafford, when, especially in the last 18 months, has been the perfect time to go and get at this United side. So I think where Jonathan's got a point there is, I think he needs to take the shackles off and accept whichever result comes his way, because if you take the shackles off these Liverpool players at home, even though it's against their rivals in United, Liverpool 9 times out of 10 win this game in the form they're in.
Look, you're right, Don, but I think that's had a lot to do with Man United's tactics against them. In these games, it's been United about to check. We know how Liverpool are going to play. They're going to play 4-3-3. You know, it doesn't matter about the personnel. They will approach it in the same way. But certainly in the first half at Old Trafford early in the season, when United played with wing-backs and Wan-Bissaka was marking Robertson and Ashley Young was getting tight to Trent Alexander, they took 45 minutes to kind of adjust to it. You know, and in the end, they brought Jordan Henderson out wide and they stretched the pitch. So he's had to react to tactical changes from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, that's his only real weapon, in all honesty. It's how they don't know how they're going to turn up. Will Rashford play out the middle? Will he play left? Will they play with a 5? Will they play with a back 4? I don't think they've got the personnel to play with a back 5. But then you look at their back 4 and you think, well, this is a back 4 and 5, De Gea, who should be keeping the clean sheet. And when your platform is right, as Man United, by the way, it's not a way that Man United fans want to see their team. We'll go ahead and try and keep a clean sheet.
Yeah, they're a dangerous side. I remember when they played Tottenham at home, and Tottenham when they had Moura and Son and Kane, and I thought United can't win that game against Tottenham. They beat them. They went and beat Man City the week after, and by the way, they battered Man City. It could have been 4 or 5. And I just think this United side, if they're cute and they're smart and they don't get involved in an open game of football and they sit extremely deep and they try and get Martial and try and get Rashford and Dan James, whoever's fit, and counter-attack this Liverpool side, you couldn't write them off. You wouldn't, I mean, you'd be surprised, yes, because Liverpool at home and they're flying. But it's never a game, man, you're just going to rock up and win by 2 or 3 and be comfortable.
No, I mean, Leroy, you said it was going to be a classic, and if we look at the amount of goals that Manchester United have scored on the road, especially considering now they're going to be up against a side that have not conceded in their last 6, 33% on the road, is that going to be enough to cause an upset at Anfield?
Well, 1 goal could be enough.
But they've only scored 12 away from home all season.
Yeah, and I think that's because of they've looked to build from the back, Kelly. You know, they've got Wan-Bissaka, we know is a great defender, not as good going forward. They've had Shaw, they've had Williams at left back, they've had Ashley Young. But they've wanted to try and keep it really tight with De Gea. Maguire and Lindelof have been the partnership at the back. And they're not a partnership who are comfortable playing 2-on-2 like the likes of Liverpool. So they kept that back four more or less intact. And then in front of them, you've had holding midfield players. Let's be honest, Pogba's been out injured, but Tonme's been their best midfield player, and he's a holding midfield player, really. He's a legs, he's an up-and-downer. And so they've had to rely on trying not to concede goals, and that has been their strength. It's not the Man United way, it's not what Man United fans want to hear, but even with Rashford, their strength is keeping clean sheet and trying to keep the ball out the back of their net and then maybe getting 1 or 2 to win the game.
Nice one, guys. OK, so we've heard from Jurgen and Ollie, we've heard from Don and Leroy. Let's hear from a couple of players ahead of the massive game on Sunday. It's Mo and Harry.
It's a massive honour for myself to captain this club. Obviously, you take responsibility on and off the field, but first and foremost, it's all about being a success on the field. So that's what we want to do as a club. We want to start winning trophies, winning leagues, and that's the main aim. But it's a big responsibility, but one I'm looking forward to.
Mo Salah, beautifully done.
I started work more mental like 3-4 years ago. I was like questioning myself all the time, mental, if I'm preparing everything or not, and also practicing all the time for shooting, finishing, not just with shooting and finishing, also playing the game different position, involved more inside more than outside, because my game is already outside. So there's a lot of things I think it's improved, and a lot of practice behind it.
There's been a couple of games this year where we haven't performed. But there's been a lot of games as well where we've performed in and maybe not got the result that we deserved. However, there's been some games where we have performed and we've got great results. For example, the last league game against Man.
In comes the cross. Martial is there. Manchester United move in for the kill to see off Norwich.
For us, it's like a 3-point game. We need to win. We need to carry on like in our way, the way we are doing since the beginning of the season, or even since last year. So it's for us as a game that we have to win it. It's okay, of course we know that's big for the fans, for the city, for us, but in the end of the day we play the game to win.
Obviously it's a great ground with a great atmosphere, but it's an exciting game with a big rivalry, so don't get me wrong, it's a tough place to go. They're a top team at the moment, but we have belief in our squad that we can go there and get a result.
Our focus now is just in Man United game. We'll just take one game at a time. So we don't think like to be like unbeaten until the end of the season. But yeah, if we do that, it will be great. But at the end of the day, we just want to win the Premier League. So that's the most important thing. I think it's too early to talk about it. Last year we were talking about it. It's still a long way to go. We just need their support and need them behind us like always, and we will do our best to win.
I expect the atmosphere to be electric. I know for a fact our fans will be there in numbers. They'll be singing loud and proud throughout the game, and hopefully we give them something to cheer about.
So just 5 months after joining from Leicester City, Harry Maguire is the Manchester United captain now. Leroy, was that an obvious fit for you? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said in his press conference he can see all those leadership qualities.
I can see some. I can't see all of them as yet. I think at the moment he's leading by example. He might have to do a little bit more now he's got the captain's armband. I think it's obvious. The only other one I could think of who could be captain was De Gea, and he's certainly not someone who's vocal. So it's the next step for Harry Maguire. He's got a big price tag on it. And everybody are looking at Van Dijk and what he's done for Liverpool. They're looking for this guy to do the same for Man United. Not only to lead by example, but when United are in a difficult place, can he make sure they come out the other side of those difficult points in games? So he came into the game late. My son Liam played with him at Hull. And because he was at Sheffield United and he came into Hull and he didn't quite hit the ground running. So look, he's brilliant. He's found himself at Man United and he's still a young man, but he's still got to grow as a person. And hopefully having the captain's armband will allow him to do that.
Donny is likely to come up very close on that pitch against Mo Salah. You'd think off the bat Mo Salah's had a quiet start to the season. 10 goals in 18 appearances, though.
Yeah, he's just been a little bit under the radar for the way he played the season before, but he's still been brilliant, hasn't he? He's still been lively, he's still been exceptional. He's took a backward step, I think, since Mane's really kicked on, and he looks the ultimate world-class player. Firmino's in great form, but the way Salah went through that couple of months in and around sort of November, December, where he was banging form, and it happened, I think, against Salzburg away when he scored that brilliant goal in the Champions League from a ridiculous angle. He came back with so much confidence. And I don't think it's, people are saying, like, he's just took a little bit of a step back in terms of his character. I still think he wants to be the main man. I still think he wants to be that leader, that character, the one that's banging in the goals every single week. But I just think the relationships there, I think Jurgen Klopp's probably not knocked him down a peg or two, but they had that little relationship with Burnley, didn't they, him and Sadio Mane, when they weren't passing to each other. And they had that big argument when Mane came off the pitch. He was more or less having a go at Mo Salah. Since then, I think Jurgen Klopp sort of spoke to the pair. He's been saying that in the last couple of weeks, where he spoke to them individually. I just think you're seeing a more chilled character.
Probably right, isn't it, really? Score prediction from you both?
3-1 Liverpool.
Oh. I think it'll be
You've
tighter.
been championing Manchester United today.
Because I don't think...
Go on,
people have been writing them off. And they've got to remember they're
going to be a classic.
Go on. It's going to be a classic. I think it's going to be 2-1, but I think it's going to be a close game.
2-1.
Liverpool to win. 2-1.
Oh, it's not often they agree.
No, it's not, is it?
2-1.
Well, we didn't.
It's probably as close as you two come to agreeing, though, isn't it? Well, after the break even, I can't